My name is Nasime Saps.
I want to introduce you to who these beings are.
Let's get started. Let's get started. Okay, so this is going to be more of a rant. So this channel will have rants every once in a while. And let's get started. So basically, I want to talk about the internet in general. As they used to call it in the 90s, the World Wide Web. They don't call it that anymore. Now we just call it the internet. Okay? So basically the internet, I want to talk about how dangerous the internet is. The internet is a very dangerous place. Okay? It is not safe to be on the internet and have your brain turned off being on here, on this internet over here. Okay? It's not. So before the advent of the mind-controlled mass social media networks, there was things called forums, and before that, there was things called bulletin boards, and before that, there were things called chat rooms. Okay? And before that, there was things called talking to people in person. Or before that, there was something called talking on the telephone, and then before that, there was something called talking to people in person, and then before that, there was called sending letters to each other, and having to wait like 5 months, or like not 5 months, but like 3 weeks, sending a letter, and then you have to wait like 3 or 4 weeks to get a letter, and then you send a letter, and then they have to wait like another like month and a half. And so back in the day, communication was slower. Okay? So when communication is slower, the dissemination of information is slowed down as well, as an obvious consequence to that. Okay? So information traveled slowly. Okay? And because information traveled much slower, okay, the pace of life in general was also slow because the uptick of new information was slow. Everything was slow. There was lag, okay? Everything had a lag time. Things had lag time in between things. Okay? And so with this lag time, there was a chance to do something called self-introspection, where you would listen to something and then use the lag time, that in-between time, the space in the middle, to then reflect, think critically on the topic at hand or the subject. Also known as what people used to do called taking time out of their day. People used to do that back in the day because people used to have time back in the day. Okay, so this is basically the olden days, okay? I'm talking about the olden days. So back in the olden days, people used to be able to take time out in their day and think, and really think and ask themselves questions, and then come to a conclusion based on that, right? Now, in the modern era of current time, everything is set up to have it be where you are made to feel, and thus you then start to kind of believe it, even though it's not necessarily true or false. But everything in the modern day is set up for you to believe and feel that you don't have time to do it. Okay? It's set up to make you feel like you have to rush. Everything rush all the time. Rush. Okay, that is a danger of what the scripture says: in the last days, information will increase. People will be able to go to and fro across the earth. Okay. So information increasing, people going to and fro across the earth like that. there are consequences to that. The consequence of that is the feeling of being rushed, the feeling of never having enough time, and the feeling of time in general speeding up. That is a consequence of that. So when I was younger, I didn't have a computer. No one had computers. No one had internet. No one had any of that stuff. And of course, I played outside, in the street, or in the backyard, or wherever, in the parks, whatever. All the kids played outside. Most people didn't have video games either. So I grew up in a time before all of that. So I can remember that. Not so today. I can't imagine being a teenager now. I just can't imagine how shit it would be. I can't. It would be so... I just can't even. I can't even fathom that. How garbage it would be growing up now. I'm so happy I grew up before. Back in the day. So... I don't have any social media besides YouTube. And I have YouTube to make videos. And, comment, whatnot. And I don't make videos on the weekends. I just refuse to do it. I don't want to do it. So I don't upload videos on weekends. I don't make videos on weekends. Videos are purely during the week. And that is to prevent this nagging feeling. Okay. The internet has... The reason why the internet is so dangerous is because the internet is the ultimate self-directed tool of knowledge. Okay? So, usually, back in the day, when it came to knowledge, you had a teacher who was supposed to know enough and be good enough to teach you whatever the thing is. And it wasn't self-directed like that. There was somebody there that was supposed to be an authority in whatever the subject was. Okay, this is how it's supposed to be. Okay, this is how it's supposed to be. I'm not saying how it actually was. I'm just saying how it was supposed to be set up like. How it's supposed to be set up like is there was a teacher there, and the teacher is supposed to be having an authority and knowledgeable in whatever the subject matter is. And then you learn that from whoever that person is that is knowledgeable about the topic. Not so anymore today. Today, it's all self. Okay, today it's self. It is self-directed. Okay, self-directed knowledge. Self-directed knowledge. Self-directed teaching. This benefits a person that has the capability of teaching themselves. However, if a person doesn't have the capability of teaching themselves whatever the thing is, then it turns into self-destruction. For every good thing you can find on the internet, you can find a equally worse bad thing if you looked for it and if you knew how to search for things. Okay? The internet is a spigot of this unseemingly infinite amount of information dumped online for whoever is brave enough, smart enough, dumb enough, whatever enough to go and get it. Go and get some. The internet is very dangerous in the hands of an immature person. What does it mean to be an immature person? To be an immature person means the person doesn't know what's good for themselves. And so they end up hurting themselves and doing self-destructive things. When social media came out in the mid-2000s, I already knew from there Okay. I already knew it. I already knew from there that the amount of mental illness, quote unquote, insanity, quote unquote, mental derangement, quote unquote, just effed up in the head type of stuff will increase. The internet is an echo chamber of this mental extreme bullcrap. Okay, of just crap. Okay.